Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Rangers Review morning briefing for Monday, the 26th of June. I'm Derek Clark, and I'm joined this morning by Euan Robertson. And I don't believe it, Euan, we're on time. What a great start to the week this is.
We're almost early, Derek.
We are almost early.
That'll have the fans perplexed. But yeah, good to be on time today.
Yeah, we know there's a sweep going on in the comments. CGM55, 3 minutes out, Buddy, this morning. He went for 9:33. Callum went for 9:42. Aldo going for 9:35. Unlucky, guys, because we're bang on time this morning. Lots to talk about when it comes to Rangers over the weekend. Before we do that, though, folks, just a quick word, as you know by now, to our podcast sponsors, Seneca Hair Restoration, the #1 hair transplant group in Europe. All the procedures, I'm told, take place in Glasgow, and they're also available for consultations in Glasgow, Edinburgh, and Aberdeen. So no need to travel far for their first-class service. They are multi-award winning. All their transplants carried out by doctors as well. So these are the guys to call if you're looking to perhaps restore some lost self-confidence. And after seeing Sergio Perini at the weekend, he really should be a poster boy for these guys. I didn't recognize him as soon as I saw him because he's got a lovely head of hair, when before, of course, he was sporting a skinhead for much of his time at Ibrox. We're going to talk about that game shortly, folks, but the big news with regards to the Rangers Review over the weekend is that we will be staging a live event, a live show at New Edmonton House on Friday, the 28th of July, kicking off at 6:30. Now, subscribers have been given priority access to buy tickets via email, so do check your inbox and for that email if you are a subscriber to the website. So you will get the opportunity, first dibs, if you like, to buy tickets for the live show next month. It's sure to be an absolutely fantastic event. It'll be myself, Joshua, Stevie, and Johnny that will be there, as well as a very special guest as well. So, yeah, it's sure to be a fantastic night. So, as I mentioned, subscribers get the first opportunity. Any tickets left will go on public sale, and the links will be put on all our socials as well. So keep your eyes peeled for that as the sun just belts into my front room here. I'm trying to see, I can't hardly see my screen here, but lo and behold, you won't be there because you'll be in Germany covering the Rangers and Hoffenheim game. But sure to be a great night, isn't it?
Yeah, fantastic night. And just to clarify, I'm not that special guest. It's definitely not me. I'm over in Germany, which I'm quite looking forward to. Going to Hoffenheim. Germany's a nice place to go any time of year. So, but obviously devastated that I won't be at the live show. I'll be certainly tuning in. I'll try and twist Johnny's arm and try and get a little live stream from Germany for 10 minutes. But no, it should be a fantastic night. My first experience of Edmonton House was the fans Q&A on Wednesday, and I think it's quite an impressive building. It's quite a big space, so hopefully you don't get any pre-game nerves over there, Derek, for the live show.
Yeah, very much looking forward to it. Just a reminder, folks, the 28th of July, so a date to stick in your diary. Friday night, 6:30, we kick off there. So, yeah, really looking forward to that. As I mentioned, subscribers, you should have an email in your inbox. Perhaps check your spam folders as well if it's went in there, but it should have reached your inbox to give you the opportunity to buy those tickets. Right, let's talk Rangers. First of all, we'll talk transfers shortly, folks. But I was at a brilliant event at the weekend down at Gig Lane in Bury for a Rangers Legends against a Northwest All-Stars 11 game to raise money for the Lee Rigby Foundation. It was a great event. Hats off to Gary from Blue Heart 1872 on Twitter and the likes for staging the event. Thanks to Bury for their hospitality and also their part in it as well. And the Lee Rigby Foundation were really complimentary of the Rangers supporters that turned up on Saturday. Brilliant to see so many Rangers Review subscribers as well and fans. So that was fantastic. Quick word for Young Junior, who I spoke to. Don't worry, buddy. I'll be sorting out the YouTube video a bit later on today, so you'll be able to see that at some point today. But I met so many fans of the channel. Big shout out to Alan and Kyle Dawson from I had a great chat with as well after the game. So great to meet you, buddy, lads, and great to meet a number of guys. Jock, who came up from down south, and Stephen as well. A load of different guys. William in Warrington, lots of Rangers fans in Warrington as well. So it was a fantastic day out. The Rangers side were, let's just put it this way, blown away by the Northwest outfit, but that wasn't in the big issue of the day. It was fantastic to speak to legends from yesteryear. As I mentioned, Sergio Perini, Marco Negri was there. We had Maurice Ross, who was great value. Tommy Cowan was great to catch up with him. Nigel Spackman was there. With Paul Merson and Matt Letizia pulled on the Rangers jersey as well, which was fantastic. And Scott Patterson says, just shy of £38,000 raised. Absolutely fantastic effort for all involved at the game on Saturday. Yeah, it was an absolutely brilliant turnout, and great to see so many players who have graced the Ibrox and wore the Rangers jersey with pride over the years. It really was absolutely fantastic. Jelavic and Papac were there as well, so that was good to meet those two. And you can see a lot of those interviews, folks, on the Rangers Review Twitter feed, so do go and check them out. And as I mentioned as well, we're piecing it all together, and we'll stick it out on the YouTube at some point later on this afternoon. So, great day had by all. Right, let's talk to the Rangers of the here and now. Euan, news over the weekend breaking that a couple of updates on players. We'll start off with a player that put Rangers to the sword back in the day in the Europa League for Slavia Prague. Abdallah Sima apparently in talks over a loan move to Rangers. He is at Brighton at the moment. He's yet to make an appearance for them. He has instead completed loan spells with Stoke City, and most recently he was in France with Angers, where he scored 6 goals and 37 appearances last season. It doesn't look to be part of Roberto De Zerbi's plans for next season at the Seagulls, so it looks like Rangers exploring a loan move by all accounts to bring the Senegalese 22-year-old forward up to Glasgow. Got to say, if it's the same Abdallah Sima that we've seen at Ibrox starting for Slavia Prague, I think this would be a pretty decent acquisition, Euan.
Yeah, I mean, he's certainly got a good pedigree, and I think that season he scored 16 goals in 33 games for Slavia, and that earned a £7 million move to Brighton in the English Premier League. And the thing about Brighton is, as well, is that they're so renowned for their recruitment policies. You know, I mean, they find these gems from all around the world and bring them in. Obviously, it's not worked out at the moment for Sima, but he looks like a good player. He was at Angers last season in France. The season before that, he was at Stoke City in the Championship. So I know those kind of comments about Michael Beale about not bringing in loan players before, but I think it makes sense. It's quite interesting though, because I've only watched a little bit of him over the weekend. Obviously, I was off. I've not kind of looked into his stats or video too much, but I mean, predominantly he's a winger. I would say, and it's quite interesting that I think for years, Rangers fans have questioned not bringing in a right winger. I think maybe like Candace was the last proper right winger they brought in, but now this summer, Michael Beale, I don't think will play with wingers. I think he'll play with 2 split strikers and number 10 next season. But I think Sima can definitely play as one of those split strikers. I think it's quite an interesting transfer, or certainly a loan transfer. I'm not sure the kind of details behind it, whether it's a straight up loan or whether there's a buy option in there. Those details didn't emerge over the weekend. So I think it's quite an exciting move, isn't it? I don't know how you feel about it, but I think it's quite an exciting one.
I've got to say, I think when he was starting for Slavia Prague, it caught me by surprise that he moved over to Brighton at that point. I think it went under the radar when he moved over there. There was talk he was going to leave to join a club for big money, but for some reason or another, it never quite happened for him down at the Amex. Likewise, at Stoke, he never really set the heather alight. Last season was more productive for him, of course, over in France. But this is what I'm saying. If the Rangers can get the Sima of Slavia Prague fame, then they may have one to watch with that one. It's certainly one that I would be getting excited about. Again, it fits the profile, 22 years of age. If it's a loan, like you say, Euan, I know Michael Beale has said before we're looking to bring in players, permanent signings, but there's such a big upheaval taking place over the summer. It's realistic, I think, to expect 1 or 2 loans to come in. And if he isn't part of Brighton's plans, that there possibly may be an option there, a right to buy perhaps for him. We'll need to find out the details of this, folks. We'll do a bit of digging later on today. But he's certainly one from when I watched him starting for Slavia Prague, Euan. He looks a tidy player, and Rangers do need reinforcements up top, don't they?
Yeah, he's an option there. I think he's an interesting option. You can play wide. You can, like Xander says, I'm in agreement. I'd say he's predominantly a winger. I don't think Rangers will play with wingers. However, it's good to have that option that you can. Michael Beale's prioritised hybrid players all summer. He wants players that can play in different positions. I think Sima can quite comfortably play as one of the two split strikers. I think he's an option in that position. I think Michael Beale's, I think he wants to bring in at least two attackers. I think it might be three, to be honest. I think if one goes out, I think he'll bring in three. So Sima could be one. I think the Dessers deal is certainly still alive. And then you may be looking at one more. I know the player we've talked about quite a lot on this is Josh Madge, and that could be one that rumbles on. But if that's the three options at centre forward, and then you've got Kamaru, Fashion Sakala, Cholak if he stays or goes, they're quite well stacked there. If that does come off, and then you've also got Sam Lammers who can play there as well. So it's definitely gathering momentum. I think Rangers are back on Friday for pre-season. It might be wrong that if it's not Friday, it's definitely next Monday. So I think Michael Beale would want to maybe have a couple of faces in this week, so he's got a bigger group of who he wants to work with for next season and the start of pre-season.
Yeah, lots of interesting comments coming in. Let's get to a few of them. Ryan Wilson raises a point. He says, hi guys, looking at Sima, do you think the possibility of two striking systems with the wide strikers against St Mirren as an example of one? Yes, you touched on there, Ryan. I think you can play over on the right-hand side. I think you can play as part of a two as well. So I think Michael Beale has said before about being interested in these sort of hybrid players that can play a variety of positions. Thanks as well, Ryan. He's become a new member to our YouTube channel. Just a quick word on that, folks. For £2.99 a month, you can sign up to become a member of our channel here on YouTube. You will get 3 to 5 extra videos per week. Some of the content we're producing is absolutely fantastic, getting great feedback as well, so you'll enjoy that, Ryan. And you'll also you can watch this video if you don't watch it live in the morning. You can watch it ad-free as well for members. So very much worth it. We've got over 200 members already, so it's been a fabulous take-up. Thanks to each and every one of you for your support. It's greatly appreciated. Let's get to a few of the comments that were coming in here. John Turner, just on the transfer window so far. Transfer window's not good enough to win this league. He's taking a gamble, meaning about Michael Beale. I think it's still very early in the window, Euan, alone saying that. Speaking to a few supporters over the weekend, there is a bit of nervousness with regards to predominantly the striking positions with the prospect of some huge Champions League qualifiers coming up. I think Michael Beale would rather, I'm sure every manager across the land would rather that their summer signings coming in as early in the window as possible. It's, of course, life doesn't work like that at times, but I think it's imperative Rangers do boost their striking options as quickly as possible. Would you go along with that heading into it's going to be two huge, massive ties on the horizon coming up?
Yeah, that's certainly the area of concern, isn't it? Is this kind of centre forward striking position? I don't think there's any denying that. What I will say is it's very, very early in the transfer window. So I think those qualifiers are the first week of August. So they're talking over a month still until those games. So you can understand it from a fan's perspective. What they want to get new faces in the building. But if you look at the deals that are done so far, so you look at Dow, Butland, and Dujon Sterling. So they're all pre-contract deals. So they're naturally going to be done earlier in the window because they'll be out without a club, and it's not so much an easier deal to do because you'll have rivals looking for their signature. But in terms of timing, it's something that's naturally going to be done earlier in the window. And then obviously the last transfer in the door was Sam Lammers, who Rangers paid a fee for. So now I think it's a case of a lot of clubs around Europe aren't back yet, so they might not know. They might not know themselves, where they lie, what players they want for next season, what players are happy to go. So I think you'll see the transfer business kind of step up over the next month in terms of bringing in players who are at other clubs, and even I know Michael Beale said no loan deals, but later on in the window is when you can maybe see a loan happen, because you've got clubs in England who aren't back in pre-season for another couple of weeks. They won't know. They might have players on the periphery who they might decide, no, we'll let him go out on loan next season, or we'll let him go up for a free next season. So it's difficult to be patient, understand that, but I'd certainly kind of stress the importance of being patient. I think Michael Beale would ideally have one or two in this week before come back to pre-season. Just going back to Sima quickly, Derek. His contract at Brighton's up in 2025, so if he spends a year on loan at Rangers, then he'd only have a year left in his deal. So, then Rangers would be in quite a strong position if they wanted to maybe sign him permanently, whereas Brighton also would maybe be open to letting him go for a slightly reduced fee rather than losing him in a fee next summer. So I think that's quite an interesting factor on Sima's contract. They'd only have a year left at the end of his mooted 1-year loan spell.
Yeah, interesting. Certainly want to keep. I think there might be a bit of activity this week with regards to transfers. It was a pretty quiet week last week by all accounts. Let's get to a few more of the comments coming in. Ian Thompson does say about Sima, it can only be a loan move as he couldn't match his wages at Brighton. Colin Williams gets in touch. Morning, Colin. Very excited for Sima. He was a player that stood out when we played Slavia and was linked for big money moves then. He certainly was. If Brighton bought him, they know a thing or two. Love this comment here. We need a Scottish Haaland who scores for fun. Yeah, easier said than done, of course. But certainly there's no secret that Rangers do need to strengthen in those forward areas heading into, as I mentioned, the Champions League qualifiers on the horizon. Just going back to that Legends game at the weekend, Denzel gets in touch and says, I think Letitia was close to signing for us back in the day. Fabulous player. I did ask him about this, Denzel, when the game was going on. I did have a quick chat with Matt and asked him if there's ever an opportunity to join Rangers, and he said that there never was. He'd never thought about leaving Southampton. He thought about leaving them once, and that was to join his boyhood team, Tottenham. But apart from that, he never had the opportunity of heading up to Scotland, he told me. But certainly led the line well at the weekend alongside Jelavic up top. And Merson scored an absolute beauty. Well, I say beauty. It was the only goal that Rangers scored, right enough, but it was good to see him in a Rangers jersey. He's one player, I'm sure he said on record before, that he would have loved to have played for Rangers back in the day. What a player he was, Paul Merson, Arsenal legend, of course. Big thank you to Roy, who's become a member. Thank you for joining the channel. Very much appreciated, buddy, for that. Just when you mentioned loans there, Euan, and apologies to everyone for tuning in, for bringing this name up. If you don't want to hear his name, I've seen... if Joshua was on, he'd be getting giddy, that's for sure. He's on holiday for the next 2 weeks, unfortunately, but I'll put his name towards you, Euan. Amad Diallo over the weekend. Apparently Leeds United interested in a loan move for him. Of course, he starred for Sunderland last season, scored some absolute belters for them. There was murmurings that Eric Ten Hag would give him a proper go at Manchester United, but it appears that he may be heading out on loan once again to Ellen Road. Listen, I think he came onto a game, not last season, of course, the season before, when Giovanni van Bronckhorst was at the helm. I would have loved to have seen him stay on last season in a sort of loan deal. I'm sure if Sunderland were able to get him, I'm sure Rangers would have been able to do so likewise. If that was an option that was available to you, if you're Michael Beale, Euan, are you taking Amad Diallo on loan?
Yeah, all day. I think it's a no-brainer. Man United are an English team, so when Diallo first came up here, I thought it was an unbelievable bit of business from Rangers. To be blunt, I thought he was underused by Giovanni van Bronckhorst, and I think you can see that last season when he was at Sunderland. I think technically he's an unbelievable player. I think maybe the problem up in Scotland was the physicality, but I think you look at him, I think he's a top talent. I think he's a player who, in the future, will play for top half side in England or one of the top teams in Europe. I think he's got that ability. Do I think he'll be back at Rangers next season? No. I think that United will want to. I don't know the club you mentioned there, Derek. I think Sunderland are back in for him, aren't they? I can see him going to a Premier League club. I think that's the next stage in his development. He's shone in the Championship last season for Sunderland. I think he needs to go that level higher and show United that he's good enough to play in the Premier League. I mean, he's not the player I thought you were going to talk about when you mentioned.
Who do you think I was going to say there?
I thought you were going to mention Malik Tillman again, and then we talked about Joshua.
Oh, no, he's dead to me now. But he's. No, I don't think. Well, yeah, that one is done and dusted. If you're not aware, I think was it last week? Early on last week, I think when Bayern ripped up the right to buy clause. Rangers, of course, if you're not up to speed, folks, Rangers are getting £1 million for developing Malik Tillman, if you like, and for Bayern taking away that right to buy clause, and they're also getting a 10% sell on should they sell him on to whatever club wishes to buy him. There is a number of clubs interested in Malik, so fingers crossed he goes for £200 million. But it wasn't Malik Tillman I was going to bring up there.
No, but I don't think either will be at Rangers next season. I think Diallo is a top player, and I can't see him being high box next season.
Yeah, interesting point. Diallo grew in stature last season. Yeah, some of the goals he scored for Sunderland were absolutely top notch. William says Ahmad isn't going to Leeds. Lol, he'll either stay at Man United or go to another Premier League club. Listen, I don't think he'll be short of offers if Man United are willing to loan him out next season. I think he can get a game for Man United, to be honest. I know they've got a squad stacked with talent, of course, especially in the forward positions. But it'd be an interesting one to keep an eye on, that's for sure. Other reports over the weekend. I know Rangers, of course, eyeing defensive reinforcements as well, Euan. According to reports that Jonathan Panzo is a player they've been credited with an interest in. Nottingham Forest holding out for a bit more cash by all accounts from what Rangers are willing to pay for this boy. Of course, we know that Austin Trusty is another one that Michael Beale is keen on. The young Arsenal centre-back was on loan at Birmingham City last season. Left-sided centre-backs is an area, a position I think that he is looking to strengthen in. It's who knows what's going to happen with Ben Davies over the course of the summer. We're led to believe that I don't think Rangers would be hard to deal with should he move on. I think I'd be surprised, I've got to say, if Ben Davies is in the squad next season. But until he brings in reinforcements, I wouldn't be looking to sell him at this point in time, Euan, especially if those two deals look to be dragging on a little bit.
No, I think the situation. I've not checked in on the Jonathan Panzo thing for a while, so I'll do that today and try and get some more information on the deal. But I mean, in terms of Ben Davies, I think it's pretty well known what the situation is there. I mean, if Rangers receive the right fee, which is close to what they paid for Ben last summer, then I think they'll do business. But it also comes down to Ben as well and what he wants to do. I think he's quite happy at Rangers, and I think he's a good player. I think it was difficult last season because I think when Connor Goldston was out, you've seen how big an absence that Connor was to the team. But I think when Ben and Connor played together, they looked okay. At times, was obviously Ben made that massive mistake against the Celtic. Was it for Kyogo's goal in the 3-2 game? That was a real glaring error. That's indefensible, that error. But I think he's a good player. But I think there's definitely could potentially be movement there. Jonathan Panzo is one that Rangers have looked at. They have made inquiries on that. There has been talks with Nottingham Forest. Obviously, again, Ross Wilson's at Nottingham Forest, so he'll be the point of contact in this deal for Rangers. So that certainly makes it interesting. I wouldn't be surprised if Jonathan Panzo was a Rangers player next season. But I think there's also competition from English Championship clubs for Panzo. So certainly one to watch. I don't know too much about Aaron Trusty. He looks like a good player. He looks like he had a really good season at Birmingham. I think Arsenal bought him for quite a decent fee. So I imagine they'll be looking to recoup that. Again, I think, especially with the Arsenal one, it's one of those deals that it probably won't be done until later in the window because they're not back yet. Their manager and stuff like that will be on their holidays. I think that's one that might rumble on a little bit. But yeah, I think there certainly could be movement in that sort of left centre back position over the summer. But I don't by no means I think it's guaranteed. Yeah,
if you want a bit of an insight into Jonathan Panzo, folks, I had a chat with a a journalist from France who covers Dijon. They spent a season there when they were relegated from Ligue 1. It gives a really good insight into Panzone, what to expect if that is a move that materialises. We're talking about on-field potential signings at Euan, but I really like this comment coming in from William Burns. Another big bit of news over the weekend, of course. It says, good to see Doc Waller back. Great signing. Listen, I think this could be the signing of the summer. In all honesty, Rangers have brought him back from Leicester, where he was head of medicine. He'll rejoin the club on July the 1st. Speaking on the club's website, Dr. Waller said, I'm delighted to return to Rangers as Director of Medical and Performance. This club holds a special place in my heart after the journey we embarked on as a team back in 2018. And I look forward to working closely with the manager and the entire backroom team as we continue our preparations for what promises to be an exciting campaign. The responsibility that I feel to serve as Director of Medical and Performance at this great club is immense, and I'm hugely optimistic about what the future holds, both on and off the pitch. I think this is an absolutely sensational move, Euan.
Signing in the summer.
Yeah.
It's a big call. Yeah, no, obviously, I think the medical department has been under the spotlight from fans, hasn't it? I think that's fair to say. With injuries last season, I think that Doc Waller's highly rated from his time at the club before. I've seen a lot of those comments about that Kamar Roof.
You magically get Lawrence and Roof back fit and firing us to the title. Love that.
Kamar Roof,
if he does that, then he should get a statue outside Ibrox.
Injury free next season for Kamar Roof. But no, I think it's a good move, isn't it? He's obviously highly regarded by the club, the fans, overwhelmingly positive about him coming back. Also Leicester last season with Brendan Rodgers, so that's an interesting side note. But yeah, I think that the medical department's been under the spotlight from supporters, and a lot of people were wanting a little bit of change there. So it shows again, I think the kind of power that Michael Beale has at the club. Obviously, we've worked with him before. You've seen that with the appointment of Zeb Jacobs in the academy as well.
Yeah.
How involved Michael is with recruitment. I think Michael Beale's got a lot of influence at the club at the moment, especially with so much changes in terms of the board and stuff. I think he's got a really strong voice at the club, and I think that's certainly a good thing at the moment.
Yeah, optimistic about the future ahead, but I certainly feel that is a terrific backroom appointment by Rangers. Dr. Waller returning as Director of Medical and Performance. Great move by the club, bringing him back in. And as you mentioned, there they are. Lots of change, both on and off the pitch this summer. So I certainly feel there is certainly a sense of optimism amongst the fan base going into next season. Right, folks, I think that'll do us here. Big thanks to Euan as ever, and thanks to everyone for interacting with the show. Just a reminder, for those that are waiting for that YouTube video of the game at Gig Lane at the weekend, I'm going to get onto that and get that sorted today, so that should be on the channel at some point this afternoon. If you want to head over to the website as well, there's lots of great content on there at the moment. We've got a deal on just now where you can subscribe to the website, just £18 for an entire year. So now is the time to subscribe. Lots of great content on there. Josh has got a piece on the website this morning charting Sam Lammer's rise at PSV, spoken to those who know him best. Of course, he is joining Rangers. He teams up with his new teammates on the 1st of July as well. Rangers have spent a bit of money on Sam Lammers, prizing him away from Serie A. So Josh has delved into the detail with regards to that one. Stevie Clifford's got a great piece on the website as well, folks, just regarding the transfer work and saying it isn't even close to being over. Certainly plenty of work to be done between now and the end of the summer. Thanks to everyone for interacting with the show as ever. We'll be back again tomorrow, but until then, enjoy the rest of your Monday.